George, welcome back. It's good to see you. Good to see everyone who's tuning in.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. It's good to see you again. It's been a minute.
It has. We talked. I guess it was last week or something like that. We take these
Yeah,
off. Um, how are you? I guess we'll do the
I'm
surface
great.
level question first. How's the weather? Are you cold?
Just a
Um,
bunch of ice. That's
yeah,
that's all. We didn't lose any power at all. It's just a bunch of ice. It's cold. Animals are going nuts in the house. They're ready to go out.
I bet.
Yeah, everything's great.
That's
Yeah,
good.
just like we
Yeah,
knew it would be.
it, just like we did. Yeah, I did. I did want to say, just for anyone listening, look, I know there are parts
Hmm.
of the area that lost power, maybe still have lost power, and we say this probably fairly often, but with everything going on, whether it's on the news or it's in local, just try and bear in mind that chaos is going to be out there in the world somewhere. If you're looking for it, you're going to find it.
Right.
Within yourself, just try to stay as calm as you possibly can. If you have thoughts that are of fear or worry or whatever else, just notice that they're thoughts. They're going to move through you just like water, and
Hmm.
they're going to drift out the other side. And just as much as you can, just try to stay present. And yeah, that's easy, to say. It's hard to do, but just take some breaths, take some moments. It's going to be okay. So,
Yeah. On that note, I want to add that pay attention to what's going on in your area, local community, help out where you can. At the same time, don't just believe everything that's on the internet because, they may be showing destruction and things that maybe didn't happen, maybe they did, but it doesn't really concern you where you are. Like, worry about your own family and local area.
yeah.
We didn't have any reports of any power outages out here in this area, and everyone was expecting it. So don't expect bad things. Expect good things.
That's right. That's right. Well, speaking of things that just pop up on the internet and then you see them in real life, I had not really heard about. My wife goes to a local gym. I go there too, not as often as she does. But she had a friend who'd mentioned about these traveling monks for peace that are coming from Texas. I think they left maybe in October from Texas to DC. Did you know about?
I
Did you
didn't know
hear about?
anything about it.
So and I my wife said it, and I was like, okay, and I just didn't look it up. I just didn't. I was like, that's great if they're marching for peace or whatever. And I'm like, that's a long way to travel from Texas to DC.
Yeah.
Well, fast forward to maybe just before the storm came through. Um, Maybe it was Friday or Thursday. They actually went right by our house, like maybe a
Oh,
mile away or something like that. And I was like, that's really cool. I mean,
yeah.
and my wife got to see it. She took a video of them. Someone had I don't know if it's called a mesa or something like that, but basically they blessed it, like they walked by
Mhm.
and um, said something or whatever else. But I was really actually happy to see that our local police force like made sure that they were safe wherever they were walking. They were staying at a local high school overnight, and they were going to continue on to DC. And that I don't know, giving me a lot of hope is not really what I meant by that. It's more of I'd heard something just on the internet, and it sounded like it was good, and then I actually got to see it. My wife got to see
That's
it in
neat.
real life. It was pretty inspiring, and she said she found it really inspiring too.
That's
Um,
cool.
there's a lot of beauty around.
Hmm.
There's a lot of other stuff, but just to your point, George, I mean, it's more than just staying overly positive. Just expect things to be good, and if they're not, just let that flow on by too. It's going to be okay.
Yep.
Yeah. How's the pond now in this frozen tundra and the fish and everything?
It got down to, I guess, 29, which is kind of dangerous. I don't know how the fish are doing right now. There was a thin layer of ice, very thin. I broke it up a little. We'll see how they do. At least we had sun yesterday. It looked sunny today. So, I did warm up some stones and put them in there to kind of help fight off, the freezing during the night. So it
Yeah.
looks like maybe that helped, and we'll just see how they are today. But I'm just expecting them to be fine, and we'll just see how it goes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. What's
How did
aside?
y'all fare over there? I know y'all just had a little bit of ice and not all the snow that.
Yeah, really some ice and some slush. When the model changed and went 200 miles north or something from central North Carolina,
Mhm.
we were relatively unscathed, so
Mhm.
everything was good.
That's good.
Well, aside from the weather talk, how have you been since we did our last podcast? It's probably been about a month or maybe something like
Yeah.
that. Anything that's come up for you that you've really felt like you've been either working on for yourself, thinking about? What do you think?
Not really. I mean, really, since the last month has gone by, it's just been a lot of weird dreams. A lot of them that don't really aren't worth even mentioning or thinking about when you wake up. Like it's just all kinds of
Yeah.
weird stuff, almost like I don't know, just a bunch of chaos and weird things thrown together that don't make sense. Not like those other dreams I had with the tigers and the alligators and all that other stuff. This was just I couldn't make any sense of, and that was weird, but that was weird in an interesting way that seemed like it was a message of some sort. This other stuff is just a bunch
Yeah.
of garbage. I kind of feel like, and you know what? I don't know if I told you this, but I someone had posted a meme, and I don't know if this was after our last podcast or right before that, but someone had posted a meme about, you know, if they paid you $1 million to stay in a haunted house, would you do it? And those are always just stupid, right? They're just for engagement and whatever. But I responded with, um, the demons would be trapped in the house with me. I wouldn't be trapped in the house with the demons.
Right.
And because that's how I truly feel like they don't have any power over me or anything. And then
Right.
that night, I had a nightmare, and I was 100% sure that that was, something trying to fuck with me. But even the nightmare wasn't that bad. And I was like, the coincidence was just too much for it to not be, some low level demon trying to fuck with me or something, right? Some spirit. And I woke up and it's like, yeah, I had a nightmare last night, and I'm sure that was a puny little attempt, to mess me up, but it wasn't. I mean, yeah, I mean, most people would have been horrified. I was just like, oh, okay, nice try, but that's not
Right.
good, you
Right.
know.
Right.
So that, I did have that, and I had never experienced that in my life before. So that was interesting.
Yeah, you kind of, I guess, manifested the dream to kind of come through.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
don't.
dared him, and just to show him that, yeah,
That's right. Yeah, I've had some really vivid dreams as well. I I think I mentioned this before, but I've tried more and more to recognize that I'm dreaming, and sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, and I don't always remember them. But
yeah,
I try and as much as I can call on like my higher what I would do here in 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 this world. I try to do that the same in the dream. Sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not, but it's interesting how similar it is feeling now to real life. I even had one of those moments. This has been a while since I had it last time, but I it was just before I was waking up, which is one of the times I think that most people can be a little bit more closely aligned with understanding that they're dreaming and awake. But I knew I was asleep and I knew I was there, and I was out in some field just like the one that had happened before when I remembered this, like a beautiful field. It was ice this time, go figure.
mhm,
And and I could tell that I was in both places. And since the more I get used to that, the more I kind of can really, um, I guess, for lack of a better term, enjoy it.
yeah,
It's really fascinating, frankly. And then on the funny side,
mhm,
I a mirror showed up, like a small mirror,
mhm,
and for some reason I had long hair, much longer than this, and it was
mhm.
blonde. And
Huh.
then I like looked to the side, and it was really long, like down past my shoulders, and it was up in a ponytail. And I'm like, "What's going
Were
on?"
you turning into Fabio?
I don't know,
You must have been
but
looking at those Galactic Federation aliens or something.
well, and then I took the ponytail out, and it was like thick like horsehair and like really long. And I'm like, I gotta get a haircut. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is so weird.
Well,
Yeah,
one
I don't
last
know.
thing on dreams that I had too was for the first time ever, my wife and I were in the same dream one night. And I don't know if I told you this, but it did. I figured this would be cool to share on the podcast that my wife and I were in the same location in a dream and experiencing some of the similar things. But it was almost like we were physically in the same place, but we weren't by each other. We
Right.
were experiencing the same storyline, but we were in different places in that place. We didn't interact with each other, but I woke up and I told her, "Hey, I had a dream that we were here. It almost looked like the street that the Huxtables lived on, like those kinds of buildings, homes.
Yeah.
We were at someone's house, and you know, the doors kept opening. And for some reason, our cats were there with us because it wasn't even our house. Like we had a couple cats there, and I was like, "Oh no, they're running out in the streets." And she's like, "What?" She said, "I had the exact same dream. I was worried about the cats. We were at someone else's house, and they were out and about." And I was like, "Well, that's weird. Like we've never had a synced dream like that we could remember anyway."
Right.
So that was interesting.
Right.
And then just the other day, I saw a story that they figured out. Scientists have figured out how to that they had the first recorded verifiable instance of communication between two people in dreams where like they transferred data, like someone was able to give something to somebody else in the dream and then they were able to talk about it when they woke up, and it's like, oh yeah, there was some data transfer between two people in the dream.
Wow. I mean, that
That's
seems
interesting.
that is very interesting. I mean, it seems entirely possible to me
Oh yeah, yeah.
if you at least for me, I've listened enough to like remote viewing and things like that. If you
Mhm.
can transfer data that way, certainly you can transfer between two people.
Yeah.
A lot of my dreams kind of are similar to yours with your wife. Like my wife will be visually like with me in some dreams,
Hmm.
but just as much or more so. I know she's there, but she's not in frame. She's not in scene. She's off
Yeah.
doing something else. There's always a reason why she's not there and something
Mhm.
else. And it's
Yeah.
just interesting to me. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, and
Um,
a lot of people might think, oh, well, that's weird. You can't send data across streams. And I'm like, okay, do you know how wireless works? Wireless data, your cell
right.
phone. I mean, it's the exact
Right.
same thing. The same
That's right.
same thing. Everything is frequency, just going through the ether. It's just passing around. And I mean, if you can use that's something you use every day. So
That's right.
yeah, it can happen. You're limiting. You're putting limitations on the world that aren't there.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I kind of segueing just to sleep in general, and I don't know about you, but certainly certainly when before I stopped drinking alcohol, like I had trouble getting to sleep, which is probably a lot because of what I was consuming. But
Mhm.
I would tend to not look forward to sleeping. The actual act is wonderful, but at that point, not really. Um, but
Well, really,
now,
you're only awake for the part where you're starting to fall asleep. The rest is a coma. So it's like,
correct, correct. But now, even if I have trouble getting to sleep, it's not really trouble. I mean, I'll lay there and meditate, or at least I'm resting, or whatever else. But I really look forward to sleep more now because what possible adventures am I going to have tonight? I may not remember them, and that's okay.
yeah,
Um, I guess we're at a point we could share with the audience, and I wanted to tell you. So you and I are finally, after however long, going to see each other in person in a
yeah.
couple months.
Mhm.
Are you excited? Are you worried that I don't really exist and to say hi and I won't show up?
Well, if you don't
Just
exist, the simulation will just put you there anyway. So
oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I
no,
appreciate
it's going to
you.
be pretty cool. Yeah, it's interesting and it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, it's funny when we were younger, they always told us don't talk to strangers and blah blah blah. And then when the internet came out, they were like, don't go and meet up with random people on the internet. And now everyone meets up with people on the internet, right? Like it's normal. And I
Right.
had years ago, before video and everything really took off on the internet, I used to be on these sports leagues, gaming sports leagues online. So I met a lot of great people playing, like football, soccer, baseball, lots of things online. People all over the country, and I got to meet a lot of them in person. Like, I went to New York to hang out with one of them. There was one that turned out they lived in my city, in Houston, like an hour away, and they ended up being a good friend. And it's like it's always cool. And then I've had people visit here in San Antonio, and I've gone to go hang out with them while they're here. It's cool. It's nice. And, a lot of those people, I had never even seen their faces before because there
Right.
was, it was before social media and everything. So this is pretty cool. This is, a lot more, it's different, because like we've interacted a lot, we've seen each other. But it's still going to be cool, regardless.
Yeah, I agree with you. And for those of you who maybe hadn't seen the episode, I'll explain a little bit. So Tom Ross, who's been on the podcast before, he's doing call it a workshop. I'll share a little bit more information. He comes on again in March, but he's doing something middle to April 18th and 19th out in Phoenix, Arizona. And I felt compelled that I wanted to go and ask George and a couple other people if they'd want to come. And George said yes. I kind of had a feeling you might. I know I'm geographically challenged when it comes to the West, so just know that. But I know Texas and Arizona are not right next door to each other as
Yeah.
far as Phoenix to where you live.
Well, you're further away.
I am. So yeah, I felt pretty strongly it was something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But it'll
Cool.
be great to see you, brother. It'll
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah. I other than to stand on the four corners, Arizona and whatever the other states are, that's
Yeah.
as far as I recall ever being in Arizona. So it'll be new. I mean, maybe I've flown into the airport, but that's
Yeah.
about it.
I used to work at a company that had apartment complexes throughout the country. So I went there once for some business trip. But other than that, I've never, it's just been a pass through state for me mostly.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Um, Today feels for me rather calm in kind of a different way. I mean, I mentioned kind of when we started this about like the chaos around whatever, and there'll be times like if I go into the gym or we're out somewhere to eat, which isn't often, but I'll see certain things like on the TV or whatever, and that's really about the only time I sort of get spun up about
Mm.
things. I don't really get spun up. I just sort of watch, and then
Yeah.
there's things you want to say, but um, it feels so calm. I'm not sure what next topic we'll talk about here, so that's kind of good.
Yeah.
That's a good
The only
place.
thing that's been on my mind is just how so much truth is coming out, so much exposure is coming out on a lot of different things. Like it could just be, um, when you look online, a lot of things just get shown to you. It's all just algorithms, whether it's ads or funny stories or whatever. But it just feels to me like more people are waking up and seeing corruption, or they're doing more of their part. There's someone that infiltrated some group in Minnesota that was planning all these anti-ICE protests and things like that, and doing a lot of illegal things as well. And it's like, oh, that's cool. Now a lot of people are talking about that, and it's like more
Right,
people are getting involved in whatever way they can in safe ways to just show people what's going on around the world. And I see a lot more people getting angry about those things, and I sometimes will go in and say, hey, this is good. Everyone needs to know what's going on, and eventually it's going to go away. But you can't deal with the problem until the problems are visible. So
right,
I feel good about all that. Then there's all the weird gold and silver stuff. Like they're just skyrocketing, and that looks like that's going to be good for the financial, wealth of everybody. Like people are worried, but it's like, no, it's because you don't understand how it works.
yeah,
You don't understand how everything works, so you think this is scary, but no, this is what you need. Like I just see everyone slowly breaking their chains of slavery all over the world, and it's a good thing to see. And on that same note, there's people that see nothing but bad from those same events, and I'm like, well, you're going to be in that world then. That's what
right,
you're going to create. You're going to be in that world, and I'm like, I'm not going to be in that world, and not what you're saying is not going to happen to me or all of us people that don't believe that. We're
right,
not making that world, and
yeah,
that's what people need to understand. Like anything that you feed is what's going to grow. And if you want good, you have to start being on the side of good and start dumping those bad thoughts and, you know, lie to yourself first. Say, okay, I feel like this is going to be bad, but you know what? This is really going to be good somehow. I don't know how. It's
right,
going to be good. And if you do that enough, you'll start believing it and it'll start happening and you'll be creating that world. And uh, people don't understand the power they have, and they don't understand their power has been used against them to create everything bad because they fell for it. They went with it, and we were all there. I
right,
did the same thing a long time ago, and Now, not anymore.
Right.
I've realized that, I'm like, hey, y'all got me many times, but you ain't gonna get me anymore. You know,
Well, I think that's I agree with you, and I think a huge part, you just said it. You're able to say, "Yep, you got me." I, you didn't say it in these words, but forgiving yourself and then observing what it was and really
Mhm.
just acknowledging it and let it pass on. That's huge. I've seen a lot of creation by me letting go of more and more things. Even though I've probably been talking about letting go, and your live, love, and let go has been huge for that. But it it really does in its own time. It seems slower than any of us would probably ideally want. But when you make time to actually let things just pass as they're meant to be kind to yourself, forgive yourself and others, it really does move along really, really beautifully. It might feel boring for those of us who are, I certainly can say, decades ago, I thriving in chaos is the wrong thing, but it was an addiction to be in chaos or dysfunction or
Mhm.
whatever else. But when you can really just let go of that and deal with the, if you like, boredom of things
Mhm.
being good, um, makes me think of this. Try this on for size and see what you think. The more I feel like I progress, the more there are not really lows and highs, meaning that
That's
I'm
good.
I'm happy, but I'm not so elated happy that it's like out of control happiness. But then also by extension, it's not out of control lowness or depression or anything else. You kind of just stay right in the middle. And if you look at it in a negative way, you're like, this is kind of boring. But
Yeah.
not really in the way I'm looking at it. Does that make sense? Like you're happy. I'm happy, but I'm not like so much so that there's like a peak and a valley from it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's getting more into some kind of stability where you don't have to have the high ups and downs. I think that's part of maturing too, because like you think about a little kid, right? They kind of thrive off the drama. They scream and yell and kick, and then if you not raising the kid right, you give them what they want. They're like, "Oh, this works." So then you're kind of training them to do that, and then at some point you get to an age where you're like, "Man, this drama is not worth it. I don't want to be around people that cause drama. I
Yeah.
want to just level out and maybe have some highs that are fun, and then just stabilize to something that may be boring, like you said, right? Where it just seems boring." I think the natural state is just to enjoy everything and yeah, have some fun. But hell, you can't even just sit there for 24 hours straight and have fun either. You'll get worn out just as much as if you were in 24 hours of drama.
Right.
I'd rather have some joy and spurts here and there and then level out to a calm and not be from calm to drama. You're going to have the same stress and one way or the other. It's just one does a little bit more for you than the other in a way. But I mean, we all had to go through that, right? I've kind of been drama free most of my life, and I've had some things here and there, but even then, like I didn't like it. Like I was like,
Right.
why are these people doing this? Having this drama in my life. So,
Yeah.
I'm pretty much drama free these days. I don't hang out with anybody that wants to be in that vibration. Like I just, I've had enough of that in this lifetime. I just want to, it's time for the pendulum to swing to the good and the joyful more
Yeah.
often. You know.
Yeah. You don't need to be involved in chaos to feel alive. You feel alive just in and of itself.
Well, yeah, you say that, but also like there's good chaos too. I see that as well. Like I get a lot of joy and out of seeing everything fall apart. All the bad systems that are falling apart. It's hilarious, and those are some little highs, right? And it's funny because, like I said, a lot of things were going to happen, and at the time I felt like they were going to happen, but then as like you said, it slows down and it's boring and it's taking a long time, and then you start to wonder, well, is this stuff really going to happen? And then all of a sudden it starts trickling and then raining and then pouring. And it's like, oh man, all this stuff I said was going to happen is happening. It's just so funny and fun to see that, like it's like, oh, okay, I was right. I was given some knowledge that these things were coming and it did happen. And, you just got to stay with it. You can't give up on yourself and the messages that you received, even though like they just may be signs or whatever,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like you say often, I always remember you say to not worry about the messenger, but the message, right? Because I've gotten messages through lots of places where people now that I see that they weren't good messengers, but they gave good messages, and I don't really watch them so much anymore, but it's like every little bit got me to where I needed to go.
I
Like
agree.
you can get good out of anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it did. Have you have you seen anything relative to penguins in the last
Yeah,
couple days?
everyone's talking about penguins in Greenland and all the things it relates to, and it's like everything has multiple meanings, and it's funny because I'll see people talk about, oh well, the penguin is just about the penguins. Oh well, the penguin's about the pineal gland and adrenochrome, and oh, the penguin is this and that and the other, and they're just all over the place. Everyone sees their little sliver, and I'm fortunate that I get to see all the different interpretations, and I get to put it all together, and
Right.
sometimes they do have multiple meanings.
Yeah, I agree. I don't post right now too much on X, but I did every now and again there'll be an account that I follow and they post something that just happens like maybe an hour or two before. So I guess it's like
Mhm.
drafting off of them, which it doesn't matter about views.
Yeah,
I don't get hardly any views on X stuff, but there'll be just a point and I'll find something and I'll post it, and all of a sudden it like when I say blows up, it I don't know gets several thousand or more so views. And the penguin one was interesting for me because and then of course when there's a post that actually hits a lot of views and I'm like, did I fall for a psyop? Like it's
yeah,
almost like any popularity. I'm like, maybe that's not what I was.
yeah.
Maybe that's not right.
But you
I
know what?
won't,
The message is going to come through in some way, shape, or form, regardless.
right.
You can use psyops to your advantage too, or to the advantage of awakening for people.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the penguin one for me, for those who maybe didn't look at it, and it doesn't matter, you can decide for yourself. But
Mhm.
several official accounts, either from the White House down through even I think the Department of War and a couple others, were posting these emojis or images with the penguin. Everyone's trying to understand why, and others who don't necessarily agree with the current administration are like they don't even they're so ridiculous they don't even know that penguins don't exist in Greenland. I'm like, okay. Already that just made
Completely.
me smile.
Yeah, that's
I'm
very
like,
surface level.
yeah, but
I could probably tell you what that person looks like.
then and so what I found interesting is I stumbled upon something to do with the Order of the Penguin. Have you heard of this?
Yes, I saw that
Okay.
too.
All right. Yeah. So I decided to post on that. That one got way up. One person did ask me for a source, and I you know what happens
I
when that
love
happens.
that.
But I did decide actually to respond back with two sources. I'm like, these are the top two sources. Decide for yourself, which is not a disclaimer to say,
Yeah,
and I say it all the time, but it doesn't matter what I believe. It just matters what you believe. If you
yeah,
think it's wrong, it's okay. I mean,
yeah.
it's not going to affect it one way or the other.
Right.
And just like with most actually that interact, because I don't get a lot of, I guess, hate or whatever.
Mhm.
I responded back and they just wrote back, thank you. I was like,
Yeah,
well, either it's a real person that just wanted to hear where I heard it from, or they're a bot that decided not to yell at me. I mean, either
yeah.
way. So, so that was good. But yeah,
Mhm.
and I hadn't heard of the Order of the Penguin prior to that. And
Yeah, I didn't
the
either.
person that had posted it before, I was already starting to think of this for some reason, just myself. Not that I haven't done research before, but I was like, okay, Greenland, Taurus Field, Antarctica, maybe it's all connected. So that's where I
Yeah,
sort of went.
Black Rock, everything. Yeah.
Right, right. So I'm thinking, okay. Um, so anyway, I found it interesting, but again, just a for me a flash in the pan. Things come up, I look at
Mhm.
them, I'll read them. I don't attach myself to one thing or the other.
Yeah.
I think it's just good that we're knowledge sharing. I have a trust with people that can stay calm. You can call them light holders if you want, frequency holders. Just staying in the pocket that is yourself.
Mhm.
Not that you're not pushing yourself outside of your own comfort zone, but just let things sort of come the way that they do. Um, I think that's a really huge thing, and I have a lot of trust in people who can stay calm like that, just to decide for themselves. And some things are untrue. Some things maybe are. Um, I'm not I don't get so wrapped up in every single detail being accurate or, completely right or
It
completely
really is
wrong.
all the message, like you'd say always. Like you're like, it's the message that you
Yep.
get. I mean,
Yeah,
pretty
it
much.
is. It is. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what, and also some things can be multiple truths because they say all the timelines are happening at the same time. So there could be an event that happens, and yes, it's they can argue, right? Well, no, this is true. No, this is true. It's like, well, you're both right. You're both in different worlds. You're kind of overlapping, and you're both right. And would you rather choose the positive or the negative one? Like, I think there's been enough negativity for so long.
Yeah.
We've been on that stretch for quite a while that more people want to be done with it. So yeah, you can argue for the other side. I don't care. I know my side's right. Your side's right to you, but I want to side on the calm and joy and crazy awesome things that are going to happen that people are ready for. Like, I mean, everyone haven't people suffered enough? Like, why do you want to argue for something bad?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree.
I mean, find the good in everything, and the good will come out.
Yeah, but George, that's just so boring. Shouldn't we be? Wouldn't this be a more popular, show, if you will, if we were yelling at each other and saying you're wrong and I'm right, and
Yeah.
debating into the
Now I
ground?
want to bring up because I told you about this on the phone. There's a video game called Arc Raiders, and I don't play it, but and you don't need to know much about it. If y'all
You
don't play
you are the
games.
resident gamer, so I always like when you
Yes.
educate me on this stuff.
So there's a game called Arc Raiders, and it's an online game, and you have a character, and you go running around trying to go to underground vaults and get all kinds of neat weapons and all this stuff. And there's these giant robots, and anyway, everyone goes online and plays. Well, in the game, you can also fight other people that are playing, and not just the robots, and try to build communities and things. So you have some people that are like, I don't want to shoot anybody else. Like, I just want to work together with other people and build a good community and go fighting the robots together and going and, finding stuff together and sharing and splitting everything. And let's all get stronger and have fun. Then you got the other people that just want to go and shoot everybody and steal from them and, do that. And it's kind of like our world, right? People that want to fight and bother others, and others that just want to keep to themselves and be peaceful. Well, one thing the developer did, which is so hilarious and I love it, is that whatever you do in the game, it tends to group you with the people that you're doing it with.
Right.
So
Like begets
people
like.
that, yeah, so the people that want to be peaceful and not shoot other people, if they go around and not shooting other people every time they play, they start to get loaded together on servers where they're only playing with like-minded people. And the people that want to go and rob and steal and kill everybody else, they're starting to get lumped in with each other. And guess who's complaining? Just the ones that want to kill everybody because now they're stuck with nothing. They're in a world of everyone killing each other.
Right.
They have to do that. Now they're stuck with doing that. That's what they wanted to do. It's like, oh no, but I want everyone should be in here. The game should be like this because they want everyone in the same boat. Well, guess what? Our world is doing the same thing now.
That's right.
Everyone that wants to be cool and chill are going to be together, and everyone wants to kill each other and rob and steal are going to be together. And it's just so funny to me that the developer did this in a video game finally to separate the ones that don't want to be with each other. And it's like, pay attention to that. That's what's happening in the real world, and you can choose which side. So if you want to be in the violent, crime-ridden side, go ahead. Keep lowering your frequency. Keep doing all the things, and being that way, you'll have it. But
Yeah.
you're going to be with that constantly, and then you're not going to enjoy it. But yeah, all the people that wanted to shoot and kill, they're all complaining and saying, no, this messes up the game, and it should be everyone all together. It's like, nope, not anymore. And the real world is mirroring that for sure.
Well,
I see
it
it.
it would almost seem to me that and this likens to a concept of old Earth versus new Earth, which may not be
Mhm.
different places. Just people decide what they want.
Mhm.
And I wonder if some of the complaints are because they're not able to take advantage of the people that just want to build a community and they can come and raid them or whatever
That's
it may
exactly
be.
what a lot of the complaints are.
Yeah, but I want to be able to do this. Well, you wanted this, so this is what you
Yeah.
get. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just back to your point, even about positivity. Yeah, my wife and I watch. I've told you this before, but we watch a lot of either their period pieces from whatever the hundreds are, 1800s, 1700s, or whatever. Some is claims to be historically relevant. Some's fictional, but um, a lot of watching those shows are so my wife and I interact. We'll pause it, we'll talk about something, or I'm trying to pause it and talk about it. She's wanting to keep
Mhm.
watching, but
Yeah.
um,
It's hard because it's like every 5 minutes in any show you watch, it's like, oh, this is this.
that's right. Well, and just observing, just to your point, so much quote unquote conquest for power and whatever else. And I'm like, you never really see any shows when someone actually gets power, except when they're trying to get more. You don't see them necessarily just like sitting in this giant room with whatever foot ceilings, eating grapes, being like, now I've made it. Now I have all the power. Because I really feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like you get to that point and you just want more. There's never enough for it. There's never enough conquest or never enough wars or never enough this, that. But at
Yeah.
some point you run out of conquering everything. And then what do? Well, then you're going to be bored. Then you got to go find it somewhere else. Just to your point, like if you want conflict and everything else, you have to continue finding that. If at some point you stop and you're like, what am I doing? Let's just
And this won't surprise you one bit, but there's another video game that deals exactly with that concept. But I don't know that people ever really talk about it. But I kind of figured it out. Is that there's a game called Civilization, and it's a world, kind of like Risk. There's a whole planet. It doesn't necessarily look like ours, but it's randomly generated. But you get to pick different leaders throughout history, from George Washington to Cleopatra to Genghis Khan, like every famous, powerful leader of our time. And you get to run their civilization, and you get to build all these wonders and do whatever you want. And there's like lots of different ways to win. Either you can take out every other ruler, you can dominate the world, you can win by financial means, you can win by, winning the space race, you get to go to space first. There's a lot of different ways to win. But what I've noticed is like I've won it, I think, pretty much every way there is. And the most boring one is probably the space race one, or economical ones. But the ones that are fun are the conquest ones. But here's the funny thing. I've tried to do games where it's like, okay, I'm not going to fight anyone. I just want to try to see how good I can do without fighting any of the computer characters.
yeah.
And someone will always attack you at some point, and it's like, okay, well, now we're at war. Like, what do I do? How far do I take it? Do I wipe out their complete civilization, or do I just fight a little bit and try to get them to negotiate peace? And what I've noticed is on the times that I've chosen to go all out and wipe them out and take over other cities, then the world hates you, even though you didn't start the fight. Then
Right.
other leaders start looking at you negatively, and it's like, well, shit, they started taking over my cities first. What the hell am I supposed to do? So then I'm like, well, screw you. I'm going to wipe you out too. So then if I go and wipe everyone out, at some point it's like, okay, it's not, that gets boring too. I've gotten bored just rolling over my high tech over there. I got stealth fighters bombing their horses and carriages and stuff. And it's like, because, you can get ahead in technology, but it's like,
Right.
even that's boring. So I think, the boring piece is the same as the boring war. Like you get bored with it. You do enough of anything, you'll get bored of it. So I think boring is very subjective. It's, yeah, and I always say this, and I don't remember where I saw it, but I always say only boring people get bored.
Right.
There's so much fun things to do, good and bad. Like anyone that says they're bored, that's a you problem. Like that's a them problem. It's not the world. It's just they have a problem with staying entertained and finding all kinds of cool stuff to do, whether it's violent stuff or peaceful stuff. Like even on the peaceful side, there's so many fun things to do that I can't say it's boring. Like I haven't been bored in forever.
Right.
Really, I truly have not been bored in a very long time because there's a million things I could be doing that won't be boring. You know?
Dominance over any other person or whatever else, just to me, it's what I'm about to say is not about right or wrong. I
Mhm.
just don't really see the point in it. I,
Mhm.
I can certainly see the point of defending yourself or feeling oppressed or whatever else, but that's again driven by someone else trying to dominate you. To get somewhere first or do this or that. And I mean, okay, so you get a little award, personally to yourself that you did something first. I just don't
The
see the
second you win, it's gone.
right. That's right.
I think I get more long term joy out of doing things with people, accomplishing things with people versus competition. And you're going to have the people that are like, oh, these are the, everyone gets a trophy. I'm like, no, everyone should not get a trophy. Also, I think competition is going to go away at some point because
Right.
competition, the whole point of it is just competition. Once you win, it's pointless. Like, so what? I mean, there's people that have hell, look at Mike Tyson. He talks about his championship belts. Like, this is worthless. This is nothing. All that matters is my kids. Like,
Right.
what is this? It's just trash. This is garbage. He's talked about his championship belts, and that's true. Like, that is the message you should be paying attention to. Competition, I mean, it's fun. I mean, if you're playing little games, okay, but competing to where a point it gets you to some socioeconomic status and fame and power and all this, that's ridiculous and pointless. Like, everyone can uplift everyone else. Why can't the challenge be, let's get 50 people together and let's try to build a boat or a car or do something crazy as fast as we can, as best as we can. Like, let's do something cool, or let's build a small town, or let's build a city, or a new type of place that everyone's going to love and everyone's going to love working or participating. Like, why can't that be the challenge?
That's right.
Why do tons of people have to lose and only have one winner
Right.
when everyone can just view like the challenge is the challenge? You don't have to beat anyone down. You don't have to have a bunch of losers. Like, maybe we all lose if we don't accomplish this challenge that we set for ourselves. Maybe we all win. Like, that's what I want to see. Like, that's fun too. Being cooperative is fun also.
This would be this would be probably a game that wouldn't sell. Something where the object basically is to create a civilization that has the most number of people of humanity that
Mhm.
have abundance,
Mhm.
whatever abundance means in that. I'm
Yeah.
not talking specifically about wealth. I wonder if that would be boring because you're like, well, then no one's any different. We're all the same. I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Might not be a game. I guess it'd be very popular. Yeah,
Well,
it's
I think there are some things like that. I can't think of one, but if you just have an impending doom and it's like, okay, well, we've got to build all this stuff for civilization to survive the doom that happens in however many hours or days or whatever, right? Like, I like co-op games. I like where people are working together trying to, accomplish a task. I also like the competitive ones, but I'm liking those less and less as time goes on. Because
right.
I mean, I did that my whole life. I was competitive in lots of games, and it was fun. And I was at the top for a long time, but that was boring too. Being at the top amongst your friends, before internet and everything, and just beating everybody up got boring after a while. Like, it gets boring winning every single match of Street Fighter or whatever. Like, it was funny, but I mean, like, it was boring. We could have
Right.
been doing something else.
Yeah. Yeah. It loses its purpose
Mhm.
if conquest is a purpose at all. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. Yeah, it was only a short stint. Do you remember? You and I are close enough in age. You remember Half Life? It was
yeah,
even
I love
before
that.
maybe
I
like
played all of
Doom.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, I played Half Life for maybe I don't know 6 months in college. It was a pretty short stint,
Hmm.
but which is a first person shooting game from probably what 99 or 2000 somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it got to a point for me, and I was never much of a gamer, but I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's fun, but like, it's kind of run its course. Like, I've had
Hmm.
enough
Yeah,
type thing.
that's right.
Um, yeah, it's interesting. The I'll have to search for a better term than boredom because it really isn't boredom when you're helping either
Hmm.
yourself or other people. It's
I think it's a
just
lack of goal or lack of focus. You know, I mean,
yeah,
people that don't have a goal or a focus, I think they don't know what to do. You know,
right,
I
right,
mean, I have a goal and a focus, and it's not like people say, okay, well, I'm going to work and have a house and all this stuff. Okay, so the act of going to a job makes people feel like they're doing something, right? But if people have looked at my life over the past couple of years, they'd be like, well, you're not doing anything. And I'd be like, no, you just don't get it.
right,
I'm doing a lot, even though I don't work, and it may look like I'm just having fun, and I am having fun. But at the same time, there are things that I'm doing to help move the needle for the whole new world that we all want,
right.
of peace and
Well,
joy and building. And there are a lot of things to do. And what a lot of people don't understand too is, and I've been seeing this pop up a lot lately, is studies on how to solve a problem. So this keeps popping up, and they say the way to solve any single problem that you have is to sit down in silence for 30 to 60 minutes in complete silence, doing nothing. Now,
Yeah.
you tell me, how the hell do you solve a problem by sitting there and doing nothing at all in a world where people think that you have to be constantly working and doing? Well, when you have focus on a problem and you're just sitting there doing nothing and being calm and maybe not even thinking about it, just sit there for 30 to 60 minutes, you will get an epiphany. That's why so many people, when they say, well, my best thinking is when I'm in the shower and I take a long shower or I take a long bath or whatever, and I'm just sitting there. No phone, no nothing. And
Right.
it's like, okay, no, that makes perfect sense. I've experienced that before. The shower thoughts are huge. Now imagine if you just sat for 30 to 60 minutes in complete silence, no disruptions, do it in the middle of the night when everyone's asleep and just be awake and sit there, especially if you can't sleep. Well, don't toss and turn worrying about trying to pass out. Go into a dark room, just sit there
Right.
and don't try not to think.
So you're on a huge point here. So we talked about this before. It won't be 30 minutes, but just for 9 seconds, let's both of you and anyone watching, eyes closed or open. Let's just sit here together for 9 seconds. Now that might have felt like a long time, especially on a recorded podcast. Maybe it does,
Mhm.
but just to unpack a little bit of my interpretation of what you're saying, George, like that shower time, it could be, oh, well, it's the water, it's the heat to set, or it's just the amount of time. Think of it this way. A lot of artists who make music, and I even heard, I can't think of the producer that produced like the Black Album Metallica, Rick Rubin, I think is his name.
Mhm.
And I saw a video of him. This must be something on point because I'm getting chills saying this. And Rick Rubin's not one to give me chills, but what he
Yeah.
said was thoroughly interesting. He's like, all the ideas that everyone gets, music or otherwise, are already out there. Out
Mhm.
there meaning in the ether, in the field, wherever you want to describe that. And if you tune into that, and by tuning in, I mean sitting with yourself is one of the greatest pieces. And if you can let go of thinking, well, I have to be doing something, you are doing something. You're sitting and allowing space and just allowing your thoughts to go wherever. How do you think music occurs to people? And if you have a thought or like the things you and I have talked about, George, and we don't do something with it, because we've thought about it or we've pulled that out of the field, other people will think of it too, because it's all existing outside of us, just like I believe consciousness exists outside of it.
Mhm.
So to take an hour to do nothing, you're not doing nothing.
Yeah.
You, you're tuning in to all the beautiful things or the bad things
Mhm.
that are around you, and that's a huge thing to do. I'm no different. We run from distraction to distraction or thing to thing, to dos, and there's things that we have to do. Bills need to be paid and stuff like that. But giving yourself, even if it's a couple minutes, if you don't have an hour, there is a lot of beautiful things that will occur to you. And how they occur to you, I don't think that matters as much as that they do. But
Mhm.
you need to give yourself, you don't need to, you can do whatever you want, but giving yourself time to be able to work through those things is huge. It's one of the things that when you and I meet each other in person for the first time in April at Tom Ross's workshop, one of the things that I'm looking forward to the most is that however many people were there, we're going to be sitting in a room of some sort, everyone with an intention to want to either release something that they don't want with them anymore, whether it's karma or whatever else. They might have different reasons for why they're there, but their intentions, I think, will be all relatively similar. And the more humans that are thinking about that, especially in close proximity, I think it's going to be hugely powerful just in and of itself, even if nothing was talked about. Do you see where I'm going with this, George?
Yeah. And I feel that energy. And, as you were talking, a thought popped into my head that, I didn't even hardly read what this thing is about. And I'm going, And part of me feels like, it's been a long time since I've been in a room with a ton of people that have wanted to improve their lives.
Right.
Because, when I was building my business, I went to a lot of conferences and, marketing conferences and things. And those were all people trying to learn how to do better, have better for their families, have better for their business, their employees. And that was always a nice camaraderie because you're in a room of people that are trying to help. And yeah, there some people weren't good at it, and there were there's going to be bad apples everywhere. But the energy I always felt and gave off was, man, look at all these people here that want to better themselves and their families and their communities and their clients and their employees. And it was a very beautiful thing. And I feel that it doesn't matter what this thing is about. I'm going to show up, I'm going to give and feel that energy. And it's going to be a beautiful thing that all these people are here because they want to improve themselves, their families, their friends, their world, everything. And there's going to be so much good energy there. And I think we'll be overwhelmed even at sometimes. And it's just going to be an amazing thing to go to. And sometimes you don't need a reason to go to a thing.
Right.
If it's a positive thing and there people are trying to better themselves, go. Why
I,
not?
I
Maybe
think
some will rub off on you if you need it, or you'll be rubbing off on other people.
that's right. Well, I think that, I mean, you and I have talked about this even too, whenever it happens that we do our own retreat, and to say our own retreat, that's not really what it means. We might be there to facilitate, but
Yeah.
we'll get as much quote unquote benefit from it as anyone that's there. I
Mhm.
mean, just like you described as a conference. Well, what usually is a conference for? It's for a business that's wanting to be more successful, which there's nothing wrong with that in and of
Mhm.
itself. But people are traveling there maybe because they want to be there. Maybe they're traveling there for the free drinks, or maybe they're traveling
Mhm.
there to get away from a home life that they're not terribly
Yeah.
thrilled with, or they're being forced to do it. But think
Mhm.
of all those different people in that space thinking of all the different things
Mhm.
that are likely at conflict with each other.
Yeah.
Um, we're going to a place that some maybe like yourself are not sure really what it is, but you know what? I want to set an intention to be here in a space of other people that feel the same thing. They may not have the same background, same political views, anything else, but the intention is different because they're not forced to do it. They're making a choice. When you make a concerted effort and an intentional choice to want to be, better, whatever that means for
Mhm.
each person, I think that's hugely
Mhm.
powerful. And going back to your video game instance, the more people that want to do that, even if it feels like you're doing nothing, no, you're
Mhm.
you're doing God's work. I would
Yeah.
frame it that way. I
Yeah.
feel that strongly about it. Which
Yeah.
even in these words probably won't feel that powerful. Actually, I think the spaces between the words when people go to a place with those kind of intentions, the spaces between the words, the silence is going to be enormously more powerful than anything that's said, which is not taking away anything that the workshop will be. I think it will be beautiful, but those spaces are the things that really matter.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's going to be fun. It's going to
Yeah.
be
I
fun.
think so. I
Yeah.
think it is kind of like a little mini preview for us to understand how these things go. And we've mentioned we want to. I've said I want to build a town. I want to build a town from the ground up that's totally different than anything that's out there. We want to do retreats, give people spaces to grow and do things. It's going to be cool. Yeah, I think it's going to be nice to have a little preview of what that could be.
Well, imagine with me, the two of us and anyone watching this. Just think about all the goals and purpose of life and everything that you may have right now. You want to do this and do this, and, by this point and this point. Just for a moment, imagine all those things are already done. Okay?
Mhm.
They've already occurred. You've moved the mountains that you've wanted to move. You've let go of the thing, you've let go of the anchors that you wanted to let go of. And just fast forward yourself to where all that is. And think of how peaceful that will be. And maybe for some it wouldn't be peaceful, but let's go with that.
Mhm.
Now capture that moment of that feeling once all of this is done and you're enjoying the abundance and helping others and helping yourself. Now take what that feeling is and pull it right back to now when you haven't gotten to those things. Just pull that moment of that feeling back to now and just be that way regardless of whether it's there, or whether you're at step 1 of a million or you're at step 800,000. And just be that way the entire time, and that'll create it. It'll take whatever time it takes, but that will absolutely be created. That is the power that each of us, and especially together, it is a multiplier when you put two people in the same place that have that kind of intention. And then imagine when there's 20 or 30 or a whole town full. I mean, that's the spirit of humanity. That's how powerful we are.
Yeah. We keep talking about time and boredom and things taking a long time. And I just want to tell everyone, look, don't worry about time. Time is infinite and it doesn't exist. Like, don't worry about it. Enjoy it. Just understand that you're being tested. I mean, you have to build patience because, if you want to understand that you're a being that's been around for billions of years and you're going to be around for infinity, then, 1,000 years is nothing, 100,000 years is nothing. So just understand to build your patience and hold on to your focus. Never let your focus go. And there's people that have been through some horrible things in their lives and they've never given up. And if they can go through all that crap and never give up, then you can sit around waiting for a little bit with no drama happening in your life. Like, come on, be stronger and, be the strong being that you are. Like, don't give up. Don't start talking shit. Don't start giving up. Don't start saying it's all falling apart. Just see the beauty and the good and everything. Even the things that look like they're bad. They're not that bad. It's going to get better. And that's not to diminish anybody's pain. It's to say that it can be greater than what you are seeing today. You just have to focus on that and it'll happen.
That's right.
There's no doubt in my mind it'll happen for you.
I agree with you. Yeah. And the contributions that each of us make won't on paper seem as huge as they really are. Mm-hmm. Right? We all have our purpose. We may not know it. We all have our soul agreements. We don't know what's written on those, or at least I don't remember. But I have a good feeling that I have no idea, meaning I accept whatever is meant to be with it. Yeah. That was really well said, George. I appreciate that. Anything else before we sign off?
No, I think we blabbed enough.
It's been good though. For those for those who watch these the whole way through, I know there's some of you. The back and forth of things where we don't have questions asked and scripts like that, because that's just not the authentic way that we choose to have this podcast. There's a lot of good in that. It's one of the beauties, I think, of long form podcasts. The river just flows the way it's supposed to. Some of it's eddies, some of it's class 2 or 3 or 4 rapids, whatever those are. And some of those are sometimes just still enough where you can see some reflections. And those are beautiful too. George, thank you for joining. Thank you everyone for tuning in as well. Love you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.